الرحمن الرحيم. يا دائم الفضل على البرية، يا باسط اليدين بالعطية، يا صاحب المواهب السنية، صل على محمد وآله خير الورى سجيا، واغفر لنا يا ذا العلا في هذه العشية. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء، وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء، وخضع لها كل شيء، وذل لها كل شيء، وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء، وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء، وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء، وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء، وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء، وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء، وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء، وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس، يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك، وأن توزعني شكرك، وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع، أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا، وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته، وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك، ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا، ولا لقبائحي ساترا، ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته، وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلته، وكم من عثار وقيته، وكم من مكروه دفعته، وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي، وقصرت بي أعمالي، وقعدت بي أغلالي، وحبسني عن نفع بعد آمالي، وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بخيانتها ومطالي. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك، يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي، ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري، ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته من خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي، وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في الأحوال كلها رؤوفا، وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك، أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي، أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك، وخالفت بعض أوامرك، فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك، ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك، وألزمني حكمك وبلاؤك. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي، معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا، مستغفرا منيبا، مقرا مذعنا مؤترفا، لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شد وثاقي يا رب، ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي، يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، أبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي. أتراك معذبي بنهارك بعد توحيدي، وبعد من طوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك، هيهات هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته، أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمت. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادحا وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثوه يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهلي لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف بي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهمني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهمني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجاء عفوك فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآمنين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا غاية آمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يضج إليك ضجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين يقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاحديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كانت لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملت كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرته، وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني، وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي. وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم، والشاهد لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك أخفيت، وبفضلك سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير تنزله، أو إحسان تفضله، أو بر تنشره، أو رزق تبسطه، أو ذنب تغفره، أو خطأ تستره. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي، يا من بيده ناصيتي، يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي في الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا، وبخدمتك موصولا، وأعمالي عندك مقبولة، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي، يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، قوي على خدمتك جوارحي، واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين، وأسرع إليك في المبادرين، وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فارده، ومن كادني فكده، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك، وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأخصهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك، وجد لي بجودك، واعطف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، وأقلني عثرتي واخبر ذلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك، وأمرتهم بدعائك، وضمنت لهم الإجابة. فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي، وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي، وبلغني مناي، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can we have a loud salawat for that very emotional recitation of Dua Kumail? Appreciate it's Muharram. I'm genuinely pleased to be back here with you all. There's something about this place. People try to manufacture it, but there's definitely feeling when you walk in here, sat together, which you can't replicate in a lot of situations. So I'm so pleased that we can be back here for this year's lecture series with Shaykh Arif. I can see some familiar faces and we're back to familiar routines, but it's always been an honor to kind of be here and guide you through the next few nights. To start with, we can't have these programs without kind of all of your participation, but also the sponsorship of these programs. And we recite a Surah Fatiha for all of the marhumeens whose names are on the screens outside. And talking about getting involved in sponsorship, there's still opportunities to either sponsor a lecture or make a donation. You can do that either via cash, card, or QR code outside. The QR code will be on the screens. And there are some other opportunities to give back as well. This year, Al-Mahdi Institute has partnered with Beta Charitable Trust to support Gaza, Yemen, Lebanon, to deliver medical aid, clean water, and supplies to those areas which need it the most. You can again donate in the foyer or via QR code, and later in the proceedings, we'll have a little bit of a speech in the coming days about some of the work that they do. Another chance and another opportunity for everybody to try and take advantage of is the Ashura food drive. You can donate via QR code, which is displayed again on the screens outside, but you can also attend, and it's on the 6th of July on Ashura in Birmingham City Centre, and that's being done with Who's Hussein and coordinated by Time for Change. So a great initiative there from Time for Change as well. Getting involved is the theme of the next couple of moments as well. It was really wonderful to see via WhatsApp the amount of speakers produced by AMI who have gone out and who are doing similar lectures and talks across the globe. Absolutely fantastic. You also have a chance to get involved. Some of you might have already taken advantage of the postgrad diploma, which opened very quickly. I saw it, it looked really fantastic, and everybody's already signed up, so there's no more space on that. There is a waiting list, and you can join that, and you can register your interest for that. So alhamdulillah, that's filled up. And also the self-development course as well, that is also filled up, but again, you can register your interest on there. And if you still need something to tide you over, there's a number of books on offer by AMI and Sajadiya Press as well. There's 20% off there, including Shaykh Arif's books on God centricity. We will have a book launch later in the week as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that the other day. We've got some programming reminders. So tomorrow's program will start at 8:15 with Qur'an, lecture, matam, ziyarat and refreshments. And then there'll be a Q&A at 10:30. So after namaz and after kind of refreshments, we'll have that Q&A. Kids workshops. So there's kids workshops on the 28th and the 29th and the 5th. Some of those kids might be asleep at home and their parents might be watching online. If you want to register your kids for that, you can do that at ami.is/Muharram-kids. And that is from reception to year 2. Always grateful for the volunteers who make those accommodations. It's really, really kind of nice to see that some of our younger members and our younger attendees get the opportunity to participate as well. And then just some housekeeping as well. Before we begin the lecture, you've got fire exits behind me, back, the main entrance, and also near the dining room. The toilets are accommodated also just near the dining room as well. There are also some segregated spaces for men and women and children in the conference room. Follow those signs. If your child needs a little bit of space and a bit of time, you can utilize that. That's been set up for your privilege. And then also just a kind of a real, very polite reminder, just please keep your phones on silent if you can. A lot of you might not had network the last 2 days, but if you can keep those on silent and if you can just maintain kind of the concentration and focus that the lecture deserves. Before I invite Shaykh, can I ask you all, if you're able to stand up and make your way far forward as possible? We will get people joining and they will join a little bit later than you all have. But if I can ask you with a loud salawat to stand up and make your way forward before I introduce the... Right? We could do a bit louder than that. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. As Shaykh takes a minbar, thank you for moving forward. As Shaykh takes a minbar, he doesn't need an introduction, but I want to give him an introduction. He's the founder of AMI since 1993. He's an expert in usul fiqh and Muslim philosophy. He has this forethought, this thought leadership, which so many of us have benefited from. I think it's an absolute privilege to be here for this series. This is part 2 of his series, and it's titled A Journey into the Hidden Teachings of the Qur'an. I've been asking him to do part 2. He tried to do it in Canada, but it didn't work, so he's come to do it here. He says he thinks we're ready for it. So inshallah, with a loud salawat, and we begin the lecture. Allah.
من قرأ الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد, السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us yet again to witness this blessed month of Muharram and to revive our faith through the remembrance of our beloved Imam Hussein, and to find that much needed inner and outer direction that we need to have in order to lead productive, purposeful lives, and to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that He is pleased with us and we pleased with Him and His decree. As Adam just said, that these are continuation of the talks that were delivered 2 years ago, exploring the deeper mysteries of the Qur'an. In those talks we asked, and to an extent we went to a layer in our inquiry, that who is actually talking in the Qur'an, what is the nature of human existence, and the broader world that the Qur'an opens for us. There we addressed the issue of assumptions through which we read the Qur'an. Now this time round we will endeavor to go deeper than that. There are certain layers that we cannot explore, and it's obvious that we cannot, for I do not have the knowledge. And it is very dangerous. But nonetheless, it will be a journey that we will take in the next 10 days, which is intended to ignite curiosity, to make us want to revisit Qur'an and to see exactly what is happening, and that this world is not what we have assumed of it, nor is the hereafter, nor is our life what we think it is. It is a very deep story. You see, sometimes the truth is in plain sight, but due to our assumptions, we cannot see it. And I recall to mind that thing we stated last year. A philosopher said that when you see that creature flying, you will observe it, you will study it. Curiously, you will think through everything about it. But as soon as you feel you have understood it and you name it, the thing that is flying in the sky will never be seen. Your definition of it will be the only thing that you see. You will no longer observe it for what it is. Or a blind man who gains sight for a moment and sees different shades of colors. Their understanding of colors is very different to the one who is always accustomed to seeing color. They will be able to distinguish between slightest shades of red and green and blue that are not obvious to us because we have named them, we have defined them in contradiction to each other. Or a deaf person being given the ability to hear, they will find my voice melodious, unlike you. Right, you're not in the mood, are you? Salawat. Truth is in plain sight if you look at the Qur'an. What hides the truth that the Qur'an is revealing for us are our assumptions. Now the amazing thing is, when we revert to the prophetic statements, the du'as of the Imams, the statements, the phenomenal sermons of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Dua Kumail that you just recited, we see the coming together of different perspectives. We see how these saintly figures understood it so accurately, how they reconciled in their minds, and for them it wasn't a challenge. Do you ever find Imam Ali saying to God, how did you allow others to precede me in taking the Khilafah and me being oppressed? You found him thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and cooperating with Khalifa Abu Bakr, Khalifa Umar, Khalifa Uthman, despite his own eligibility to be the Khalifa, don't you? Do you find Imam Hussein beneath the blade saying to Allah, why have you decreed such a fateful event for me? Why have you deprived me of my children, my brothers? Why have you left my women folk at such a perilous place where after me they will be made captives? He doesn't. He says, I am pleased with your decree. They have reconciled this phenomenal thing. But yet we are challenged, aren't we? We are challenged. Allah, how can this and this happen to those people and the oppressors get off scot-free? Are we not challenged? Why am I ill? Why is the other one rejoicing in your name when I am more eligible? When he is an oppressor from within and you know better. We are challenged. They were not challenged. They saw the flaming hell, the fire that burns. They saw the promise of skins being replaced. Yet, it did not challenge their view of God. They said instead, let the flames consume me, as was recited so beautifully, but let you not be at a distance from me. Let me know as I burn, you are with me in that torment, in the moment of torment, for that will make it bearable. So the truth is in plain sight. What does not allow us to see the truth are our preconceived ideas, our perceptions, our presumptions. Now, to lead into this gently, 40 years ago, I had gone to a community to preach. It was my first year at the seminary, maybe no, actually more than 40 years. I don't know, 40 years. Age just goes, doesn't it? We've become gray, and even blackness of the color doesn't make us any younger. So we had a discussion. And there were Muslims and non-Muslims. And I was singing the merits of the non-Muslims. Even back in the day, I was quite wayward. So I posed challenges. And I said, but this man knows more than you. He's more charitable than you. Not with the tone of offending. I'm talking about you as the generic Muslim. He is more pious than you. He is more godly than you. Surely he is better than you. So the person who was there, he responded, but if I had as much knowledge, as much piety, if I was as charitable as he was, I would be better than him. And I said, why? He said, because I'm a Muslim. So there you see the effect of a preconceived idea. I am a Muslim. I am better. True, at this point in time, he is better than I am. But if I were to rise and arrive at the same pedestal at which he stands, then I have a merit that he does not have, and that is I am a Muslim. He doesn't understand being a Muslim means what the quality that that person has. But that is the way we think. So then you have the notion of the chosen ones. I am the chosen ones. Nahnu abna Allah wa hibba'ah. We are the sons of God and we are His loved ones. Lan tamassana an-nar illa ayyaman ma'duda. The fire shall not touch us save for a few days. These are the proclamations that the Jewish people used to make back in the time of the Blessed Prophet. And you can see the ill effects of that today. The community of the Zionists, Israeli Zionists, Jews are some of the best people in the world. Those fighters for human rights, most vocal against the genocidal Zionist regime. But majority of them are fooled into thinking that they are the chosen ones and God has promised them a land. And all the atrocities that they commit will not be something for which they will be brought to account. In fact, God is on our side. You see the impact of a preconceived idea. It is not about the Qur'an. It is about the attitude with which we read the Qur'an that will reveal its gems or conceal them. Qur'an can fuel the inner ungodliness or can refine the godly light. It depends on how we approach the Qur'an. There is so many complexities in our mind, and the Qur'an will assist us to support all of those complexities. There are so many wayward ideas in our minds. The Qur'an will support all those wayward ideas. The Qur'an actually is a silent guide. What gives it voice is the reader. The attitude of the reader will open the Qur'an to a layer befitting for the reader. يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. Many are misguided by it, and many are guided through it. So now look at our Qur'an and our God with our assumption. In our madrasas, the children are taught how to do wudu. God is so stern that if you do not do wudu properly, your salat is not accepted and God will punish you. These children then grow up in a universe wherein God is very strict. As they grow up, they become teachers of madrasas. And when they teach, they then project that stern God. And then it takes a speaker to tell us that the God that you fear says in the beginning of his Quran, Bi-ism Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Maybe you've got it wrong here. Preachers then go and frighten us from fear of hell, from the fire of hell. Can you not see the struggle that ensues within? That people are caged, they are prisoned. They want God that is intuitive. And when somebody says that God is all love, all mercy, all beauty, all light, without any darkness, all splendor, untarnished, the heart jumps and wants to embrace that God and says, this is the God that I believe in and I'm looking for. Doesn't the heart immediately yield to that God? Surely that should be the default point. But people then ask, truly is God like that? Will God forgive me? My God. Is this where we are? Is this where we are? You ask an undignified man, forgive me 100 times, even he will forgive. Are you talking about God? Does a mother begrudge her children? Can she? Can the God of this mother be anything less than the mother? Look at Allah. How we have misunderstood Allah. So these are our preconceptions about God, enforced by our assumptions through which we read the words of God, that are then misguiding us as opposed to guiding us. Now here I get asked a question. You say God is so kind, so merciful, so gentle, so loving. The Qur'an does not talk of a God like this. The Qur'an talks of a stern God, a God that punishes, a God that burns, a God who will burn and replace skin. You talk about a just God. I see an unjust God in the Qur'an. Beat the women. I'm going to read that verse later on, because that's the only verse that makes the minds go, right? I see only an unjust God. 2 female witnesses to 1 male witness. Kill the enemies of God. You spoke about a God without need. The Quran demands prayers and fasting and good deeds and service to God. What needless God are you talking of? Can you see this? It's not a simple question. When we express the beauty of God, there is a backlash. There is a question that is being asked. Where is your God in the Quran? I want to believe it. My heart yields to that idea, and God cannot be anything but what you explain. But where is that God in the Quran? Can you see this? So here we come to this discussion that the Quran yields in accordance with the assumption with which we read the Quran. So what is the yardstick of understanding which assumption is accurate as opposed to the one that is not accurate? So the Quran, and I'm going to be exploring these themes in the days to come. So the Quran gives a golden principle. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Surah 4, verse 82, for those who want to follow. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not reflect upon the content of the Quran? Had it been from other than Allah, they would have found many discrepancies therein. Now I'm going to explain this day after tomorrow or tomorrow, that this is a phenomenal statement. The Quran from the beginning till the end without discrepancies in there. That is phenomenal. And if that is true, then this can only be the product of Allah, for only the all-knowing can do this. Now, as a gentle prelude into this, look at the Quran. The highest level of consistency within the Quran. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. This sequence is continued in the Quran throughout. There is no faltering with this sequence. He made for you ears, eyes, and fu'ad, the faculty of comparison and thought, not exactly the heart. Fu'ad does not mean heart. Fu'ad, as we will discuss at some point, means the immediate reaction to a situation. Yes, that's what fu'ad means, inner reaction. Now, if you look at the Blessed Prophet, he did not know at the initial stages if God was talking with him or if God has abandoned him. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا كَلَى. Your Lord has not forsaken you and has not forgotten you, O Muhammad. How could he have retained those sequences where he himself did not read or write? The Qur'an was not in a recorded form with him. It was lying in different places. Different scribes were inscribing the Qur'an. How could he have retained this sequence in 6 or 7 surahs that this verse comes? And then contrast this with the nature of God. Sami'un Basir. God, when it talks of His own qualities of sight and hearing, He always says hearing and seeing. Hearing, seeing, thinking. Hearing, seeing. Can you see that? Look at the highest level of consistency within the Quran. It's mind-blowing. Then Isa in Surah Al-Imran says, I will resurrect the dead with the consent of God, cure the leper with the consent of God, relieve blindness. And then in Surah Ma'idah, the verse is repeated. Isa, did you not say this? And the sequence is retained. How could the Prophet have remembered any of this? And they were coming spontaneously. Now, if we were to take an assumption and read a verse through it, the verse will give a meaning. The litmus test is that now contrast that assumption with other values that the Quran is giving. Is it in conformity with those values, or is it in discord and contradiction with those values? If there is tension and a discord, then you know that the assumption is faulty. But if there is consistency, then you know that the assumption is valid. Let us go through this. If you can open verse of Surah Nisa 434. Please do. 434. Now a man had beaten his wife. So she came with her father to the Prophet. And she complained to the Prophet. The Prophet made a judgment. He said she should invoke the law of retaliation or legal retribution, that he should be punished in a like manner. Now that is the golden principle, justice, isn't it? He hit her, she has a right to hit him back or take monetary compensation, according to the laws of Qisas that had already been revealed. This is an egalitarian judgment. They were walking away out of the company of the Prophet, and Jibreel came with this verse. Look at the verse. Ar-rijal qawwamuna ala nisa. Men are governors of women. I'm just loosely translating it, but the hard work has been done in papers if you want to read them. Bima faddala Allah ba'dahum ala ba'd. Through the grace that God has given some over others, which we translate as existential merit. وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. And due to what man expend of their wealth upon women. And therefore the righteous women, those who offer prayers, who safeguard the unseen through what God has safeguarded. Then comes this. And as for those women whose disobedience you fear, counsel them, give them admonition. That's the first stage. وَهَجُرُهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. Confine them to their quarters. Third stage is وَضْرِبُهُنَّ. Hit them. So this verse came and the Prophet called them back and he said, look, this is the verse. Now, I want to go through this for a while so we understand the meaning of assumptions. If we assume here, if the assumption is that this is an eternal verse in the meaning that we are understanding, then it is in conflict with the sense of justice of the Qur'an. The Qur'an says, abide by justice. What is justice? To give everything its rightful due, isn't it? But if we take this verse as eternal, through the assumption that we have that this is eternal, then it shapes for us a host of other societal laws as well. That women cannot occupy prominent positions of leadership, cannot become mujtahid or jurisprudence, for example, cannot become judges. If not directly, then indirectly this verse supports. They are subordinate to man. Everything that we have in a societal structure within a Muslim country about man and women become justified through this verse and a host of other verses. Then you come to the 21st century and you get women asking you, how is this just that men can beat women, demand them at any time they want, and if they refuse, then they can beat them, and women have no say? How unjust is this? Now the thing is, when something is unjust, it is felt within. We all know it is unjust. We all know it is unjust, isn't it? Now let's look at this. So we are seeing that the assumption with which we read the verse, that it is an eternal reading, is a false assumption. In fact, if you were to say that your 10-year-old child should get, let's say, you go with your child to the Prophet and you say, this child is demanding a stipend from me, 10-year-old child, and the Prophet says, give him £5 a week. Now that child becomes 20 years old and you will still give him £5. And the child will say, this is unfair. I have so many more needs. No, but the Prophet said, give you £5. And that's an eternal law. So the problem here is that the Qur'an, as an immediate source of guidance, was giving a law befitting that immediate context. That in the context in which a man and woman are existing now, where man are defending them, providing for them, then man in return have these rights. Can you see that? So the verse, بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ, through the grace that God has given some as opposed to the others, that grace was unequal at that point. And therefore, although the judgment of the Prophet was an egalitarian judgment of equality, the Quran came and tweaked it into an equitable judgment that each one is owed to different degrees. Now, the question comes, what if that fadl of Allah becomes equal with both genders? That existential marriage. So think about it. Back in the day, women would not fight wars, would not earn. In today's world, women can fight wars. They can fly planes. They can use guns. Now, God forbid anybody fights. I'm just giving you an example. They can fly drones with their minds, whatever. They can earn. They don't need to till the land. They can just go on e-commerce and earn as much as a man can earn. So here, we are seeing women now going to universities, accomplishing their intellectual potential as much as a man can. Now, with parity in their existential aptitudes, and the grace of God has become equal. Now, when we read this verse, what will we say? The assumption now is that when there is parity between the genders, then what? So we will say this verse is only revealing to us that accord rights in accordance with their existential aptitude. So if today a woman is providing, then she has the right to divorce as well. Why not? She has equal inheritance, why not? She has the right to custody of the children, why not? As much as a man has. There is parity. In those regions of the world where the equation is still like the former equation of the Quran, then yes, this verse can very well work. So the assumption enforces a reading within our mind and understanding. So in that way, the Quran is silent. Our assumptions shape the meaning of the Quran. Let us take another example. If the assumption is false, the assumption through which we read the verse, then we will need to chop and change the literal meanings of the Quran to the assumption. Whereas when the Quran revealed, the Blessed Prophet and his community were reading them literally. They were understanding them without the assumptions that we have today. They were forming their assumptions. It was too early for them to have set assumptions. They were constantly forming and reforming their assumptions. So when we see that there is conflict in verses or with the values of the Quran, the assumption is false. Also, when we see that we need to metaphorize meanings to fit in with our assumption, then we know that the assumption is faulty. Now open the verse of Surah Araf 7:143. Surah Araf 143. It's the most intriguing verse that I have ever come across. Now this is talking about the meeting of Moses with the Lord. It's there in the book of Exodus. Go to ChatGPT, ask it to bring out the verses. In fact, it's good if you do. In the next few days, we are going to be working on it a bit more thoroughly. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى لِمِيقَاتِنَا. And when Moses came for our appointed time and meeting, when Moses came for our appointed time and meeting, our, it's a plural. Can you see that? وَكَلَّمَهُ رَبُّهُ. And his Lord spoke with him. Now, is his Lord someone other than us and our? Is he a different one? Is the we narrating of the Lord? All these questions are there. But we can't see it because we simply work through an assumption. قَالَ رَبِّ أَرِنِي أَنظُرْ إِلَيْكَ. My Lord, show me yourself, I want to look at you. God is not confined, is he? Who knows that more than Moses? Who knows more than Moses that God cannot be seen? Do you think you can go and ask God to show you his face? Do you think Moses didn't know that much? Moses didn't know that much? Lord, show me, I want to see you. You see, our assumptions are not letting us read things accurately. قَالَ لَن تَرَانِي. He said, you will never see me. Why can't God just say, I am not something to be seen? I am not someone who can be seen. He says, you will never see me. وَلَكِنْ انظُرْ إِلَى الْجَبَلِ. Father, look at the mountain. Why play games with him, Lord? Why play games with him? Just say you can't be seen. But no, look at the mountain. وَإِنِ اسْتَقَرَّ مَكَانَهُ. If that mountain stays in its place, فَسَوْفَ تَرَانِي, then you will see me. I mean, this is a bit comical, isn't it? You can't be seen, you don't have a face. Why say these things? Look at the mountain, and if the mountain stays in its place, and then you will see me. Anyway. فَلَمَّا تَجَلَّى رَبُّهُ لِلْجَبَلِ جَعَلَهُ دَكَّةً. And when his Lord appeared to the mountain, he made it crumble. وَخَرَّ مُوسَى سَعِقًا. And Moses fell unconscious. Now our reading is through the assumption that the Quran is the word of God, which it is, and we will go out and show that tomorrow, I think. And therefore God is the speaker in the Quran. And what God is speaking in the Quran? The God who is the first and the last and the light of the heavens and the earth. That's the only God we know, right? And that's the only God. So therefore, if he's speaking in the Quran, then we means I, his Lord means I. Can you see that? We will have to reinterpret to mean I when God came to my meeting. Right? And when his Lord spoke with him, when I spoke with him, and when he asked his Lord, and when he asked me, let me see you. His Lord said means I said you can't see me. His Lord said look at the mountain, it means I said look at the mountain. Can you see that? All of these words, their meanings will have to be changed, will have to be tweaked in order to fit in with that assumption. Can you see that? We are no longer now reading the Qur'an. We are reading our assumptions into it. Are you getting it? Now, we will move away totally from the real meaning. So now what is the meaning of the mountain crumbling and this and that? Well, if it's God, the ineffable one talking, then the crumbling of the mountain means esoteric meaning. God was showing to Moses that once your ego collapses, then you will see me. And Moses says, I'm the first of the believers. So we resort to esoteric meanings, don't we? Can you see, through the influence of an assumption, how much we have changed the meanings? We are no longer reading the Qur'an. We are imposing meanings upon the Qur'an. Yes? What if we change that assumption fully? The first thing is, why would God say, look at the mountain, if it stays in its place, and then you will see me, and his Lord appear to the mountain? Does God appear to anything? The ineffable God he is. There is nothing but him. Does he appear? All of this is his appearance. Isn't that so obvious? He's the first and he's the last. Isn't this the entirety of everything, the appearance of God? وَإِنَّمَا تَبَلُّ فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn, you'll see the face of God. It is all the face of God. Why would he appear in a location? Can you see that? What if something really did appear, and had the mountain been strong enough to withstand its appearance, then Moses could have seen it? What if that was the case? Then that is far more literal and accurate reading of the verse, isn't it? We'll discuss afterwards why I'm saying that you cannot metaphorize at will. No, there has to be a yardstick, a clear yardstick, where you can metaphorize and when you can't. Look at the mountain. If it stays in its place, then you will see me. What does that mean? It will bear whatever you want to see reflected to you. The same story is in the Exodus. Lord, I want to see your face. He said, you will not see me. Stand in the cleft of the mountain and I will put my hand and guard you as I pass. So we and Lord now become a mystery. What is the we that is talking here? That sometimes becomes the I, that sometimes becomes the Lord. We will explore this in 2-3 days' time if Allah so wills. But the assumption that God is talking in the Qur'an does not allow us to read the Qur'an accurately. Everything is metaphorized by us. And before we know it, we don't know what we are saying. Oh, we don't know what we are saying anyway. That's a fact. Yes? Especially the Maulana, which is me in this instance. Now, let's go to a third example. I'm mindful that my time is running away. Now, here is the story of Lord creating Adam. Now, our naive assumption is that our life, existence, everything commences from the time we take birth in this world, right? Now, there's a huge problem here. The huge problem is this, and we cited it 2 years ago, that therefore, God is very unjust. He made one into a saint and another one into a psychopath. You see, Netanyahu would have the biggest claim against God. God, you made me like this and I destroyed them all. Why did you make me into a psychopath? One is made into a psychopath, one is made into a saint. One is made into Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and another one is made into a Yazid. Think about it. Yazid could go and say, you could have made me into Prophet Muhammad easily. And you could have switched both of us. What else was I supposed to do with a father like Muawiyah and whatever I had? Delete that. I'm a product of my genes. Right? So Yazid could have had the biggest claim against God. Think about the complexity this introduces in the head. Now let's read these verses and then we can heal the assumption a bit more. So our assumption is our journey of existence begins with our conception and birth. Right? Conception and leading to birth. Surah Hijr. I know you've got quite a few verses that we sent out earlier, but Surah 15, verses 36 to 44. So God fashions Adam from sounding potter's clay. Those are the descriptions. And says to the angels, prostrate. They do. Iblis doesn't. There's a discussion between Lord and Iblis. Why not? Because I'm better, I'm from fire, whatever. Get out from here and whatnot. Then after that, there is a discussion. He says, Qala, Rabbi fanzirni la yawmi yub'athun. Lord, allow me respite to the day in which they will be resurrected. Adam and his progeny. Qala fa innaka minal mundarin. You are offered respite. Ila yawmil waqtil ma'loom. To a appointed time. Qala, Iblis said, Rabbi bima aghwaytani la uzayyinanna lahum fil ard wa la ughwiyannahum ajma'in. My Lord, by the deception through which you have deceived me, I will tempt them in the earth. And I will misguide them all. Illa ibadaka minhumul mukhlasin, except your chosen ones. Lord replies, Hada siratun alayya mustaqim. This is the path leading to me straight. Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. My creatures, you have no authority upon them. Illa man ittaba'aka min al-ghawin. Except for those of the deviant that follow you. Then the Lord says, Inna jahannama la maw'iduhum ajma'in. Hell is the resting place for them all. Laha sab'atu abwab. Hell has 7 doors. لَكُلِّ بَابٍ مِّنْهُمْ جُزْءٌ مَقْسُومٌ. And every door has a particular quota that will fill that door. Think about this. The Lord is creating Adam. Adam just wakes up, where did I come from and who am I? Because he wasn't before that according to our assumption, right? Where did I come from and who am I? Well, you just come about now. Who is he? He is your arch enemy. What will he do? He's going to drag you out of here, put you in hell, everything. So what wrong have I done? Well, it's a favor I created you. And you should thank me I created you. You created me and set loose a monster like this till the day of Qiyamah. To tempt me and to misguide me. And then you're saying that you're going to fill me and my progeny, you're going to fill the hell with me and my progeny altogether. What sort of a God are you? Do you have foreknowledge? Yes, I do. I know exactly what's going to happen. So you knew before creating me that I'm going to go to hell. Well, it has 7 doors. Somebody has to fill it up. And then you say you're kinder than a mother. Well, I am kinder than a mother. How does that make sense, oh God? You're kinder than a mother. You created me without me being anything. You're saying it's a favor. You let loose a monster upon my head till the day of Qiyamah. And you've got a hell that you have made that needs its people to burn, and you're going to put me in there. And you want me to thank you for it all. What sort of a sadistic God are you? Forgive my language. It's not, the story is very different. But that is the argument. God has foreknowledge. He is the kindest of the kind. He is all forgiving. He is not unjust. This story, through our assumption, is the most unjust story ever told. Can you see that? Let's look at the next verse. Surah 38, 79 to 85. I'm talking about the level of consistency in the Quran as well. Qala Rabbi. Sorry, Surah Sad 38. Same story. God creates Adam from clay and says to them to prostrate, and Iblis refuses. Anyway, he says to Iblis, out of here, be banished. Upon you is a curse. And by the way, the meaning of curse as well, maybe we can discuss at a later stage. Iblis turns to the Lord and says, Qala Rabbi fa'anzirni ila yawmi yub'athun. Lord, offer me respite to the day in which you raised them. Qala innaka فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. You are the one who will be spared. إِلَى يَوْمِ الْوَقْتِ الْمَعْلُومِ. To an appointed time. Same repetition of the same verses. قَالَ فَبِعِزَّتِكَ. Look at how Iblis speaks. I swear by your might, my God. I swear by your might. He understands the might of God. لَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I will tempt them all. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Except for your chosen servants. Then the Lord responds, فَالْحَقِّ وَالْحَقِّ أَقُولُ. Then that is the truth, and the truth I speak. He says, that is the truth. You have spoken the truth, that you will misguide them all. And the truth I also speak. I.e., God is giving His word. لَأَمْلَأَنَّ جَهَنَّمَ مِنْكَ وَمِمَّنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنْهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I will fill the hell with you, and whoever amongst them follows you. Now look at that. The word is already being given. The word is already being given. That I will fill hell with you and all of them who will follow you. And God, who has foreknowledge, knows He's going to fill hell. He's supposed to be unjust and kinder than the kindest mother. How can you reconcile between the two? It doesn't make sense, does it? So therefore, the assumption is faulty. Our assumption that the initiation of our existence is from this world is a false assumption. Look at one more verse before we go and rectify that assumption. Or present a more plausible one. Surah Arif, Surah 7, verse 179. وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا. Here the pronoun we is being used, yes? Pay attention to the nuances. وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لَجَهَنَّمْ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. Indeed, we have made for hell many amongst the jinn and man. We will discuss jinn afterwards. The nature of jinn. لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts with which they think not. وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا. They have eyes with which they see not. وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. They have ears with which they hear not. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. They are like cattle. بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. Rather more stray than the cattle. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْغَافِلُونَ. Indeed, they are the heedless one. Now we'll say, we have made many for hell. Right? There are two problems here. They have hearts. Who gave them those hearts? You did. You gave them those hearts. Who gave them their individual circumstances in which they took birth? You did. How is it their fault? Doesn't that make you so unjust? Then you say, خُلِقَ إِنسَانَ ضَعِيفًا. Man has been created in weakness. جَزُوعًا. Always anxious. مَنُوعًا. Always refusing to give. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. Nafs is constantly ordering to evil. You gave us all of this. We did not exist. You have given us all of these things. You have given us all the instruments of the devil within us. And then you're going to punish us. And then you say you're Rahman and Rahim. And then you say this is a favor of yours upon us. How does any of that make sense? Can you see? In order to make sense now, the Mufassirin will go out of their way to give lengthy explanations that no, even our philosophers, the likes of Mullah Sadra and others, do the same thing. Give lengthy explanations, elaborate that no, this is favor of God and this is the nature we have and this is a huge opportunity, but I did not ask for an opportunity. If there's a prospect of going in hell, I don't want to take birth. Now think about this carefully. If there's a prospect of going in hell, would you want to take birth? Would anybody want to take birth? Please shake your heads or nod or something. Anyone in their right mind would not want to take birth, right? if we have something like hell waiting, and then you know how we guys frighten you guys out of your wits. As soon as you're buried, your grave is going to squash you. It's true, by the way. Not you guys, I mean individuals. Until all the bones are crushed. It's true. Why would you want to take birth in a hellhole like this, which is followed by something far more torturous? And this world is not a nice place to be in. Who is happy here? Apart from a person who falls in love for the first time and then feels the wrath of what that means afterwards. Who is happy in this world? Show me one person who is happy. Nobody is, apart from Donald Trump, because he's in his own world, you know. I think he's the only happy person here. Nobody is happy in this place here. This is not a good place to be in. And what is going to come is going to make this world look good. Can you imagine something else that can make this look good? How bad that must be? So then, you know, we have these elaborate explanations that why, you know, God created us and why He's the benevolent. We'll say He's malevolent. Sorry. We have huge explanations, but the thing is, the assumption is false. The assumption is countered by verses of the Qur'an and reason, and we discussed this 2 years ago. That this is not the onset of our existence. Life and death are two states that are constantly coming upon us. The Quran says, you were dead. Kuntum amwatan fahyakum. And He brought you to life. Thumma yumitukum thumma yuhyikum. These states are being rotated all on you. Look at the verses of the Quran. Everywhere life and death are mentioned, death will be first, life will be after. So that shows our existential state was one of death. We were, but in a state of death. It's like a liquid in a state of cold and in a state of warm and in a state of cold. We are enduring through all these states. The verses of the Quran says, خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. He has created you from one soul. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. We created you, we fashioned you. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. Then we said, the word then is being used. We created you, then we fashioned you, then we said to the angels, prostrate before Adam. You were all there. You were all there. When Adam was getting embodied, you were all there. And then when Adam's body was formed, we said to the angels, prostrate before him. Can you see that? But you were already there. He then became a means for your earthly arrival. فَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. And then from that body He created its pair. And through them both He spread many men and women in the land. When He talks about the soul, there is no gender. He created you from one soul. You are all one without gender. The gender business only comes after the creation of Adam and the clone of Adam, Hawa. And after that, men and women arise. There is no question of gender prior to that. So there is a world before this world. Now, if we can understand that our assumption is false, and if we can present a counter assumption that we have already existed prior to coming here, and we must have done things there that is determining our status is here, then that makes perfect sense. Because whatever we do here will determine our status in the next world. Hasn't the Prophet said that you will take birth in the next world in the forms that your souls have acquired? If you're an angel, you will be angelic. If you're a demon, you will be demonic. If you have the form of one of the beasts and the animals, then you will arise in the form of that beast or an animal. You will see ants crawling on the day of Qiyamah. You will see snakes slithering on the day of Qiyamah. You shall see pigs, you shall see dogs. But you will recognize each one from their soul. Their forms will become distorted. So if this world, whatever we are doing here, has a direct impact on our aptitudes and our states in the next world, then obviously the world that's gone before this has its impact on this world. That's one explanation. It's not the only one. The other one is that we have chosen our circumstances to see how best we can bring out the godliness through the testing, trying circumstances. But look at those who had found their God. Like our Hussein ibn Ali. The spirit of defiance. By Allah, he says in his battle on the day of Ashura, you will never face one like me. They turned to him and they said, there is nothing left in you. Your breaths are constricted. Your blood has flown from your wounds. Your heart is torn. Surrender to the blade. Nay, you will never face one like me. I will not surrender. And he says to Allah in his dua, O Allah, when you are the one who overpowers destiny, how should I stand defeated in front of a mighty army? With you by my side. Look at that spirit of defiance he has through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at that understanding he has of God. Look at the way in which he gives himself so beautifully to God. These are the people in whose soul the light of God breathes, who have actualized their beauty, their godliness, and this is what they become. Fearless, gallant, defiant, spiritual, beautiful. When Walid calls Imam Hussein for the bay'ah, Imam Hussein said, Mithli la yubaya'u mithla. The likes of me cannot pledge allegiance to the likes of him, meaning the likes of Yazid. In another place he says, if Islam has become inflicted with a leader like Yazid, then upon this Islam I bid my farewell. We find this description, and in all likelihood, it is not accurate, but it depicts the sentiment of the time. That Imam Hussein was preparing to leave. He sits upon a chair. The Hashimis circle him. The camels are brought. The carriages are set. At that point, there is a cry, O sons of Hashim, lower your gazes. As they lowered their gazes, the reporter said, I saw a majestic being appear with a lofty stature, bearing the majesty of kings upon his face. He accompanied 2 women. He knelt and allowed the women to ascend within their carriages. I said, who is he? I was told this is Abbas ibn Ali. Who are they? They are the daughters of Ali, Zainab and Kulthum. Now Zainab is assisted into her carriage by the lion of Ali. And then we come to the 11th of Muharram. Ascend the camel, O Zainab. Inadvertently she turns to the Euphrates. Where are you, O Abbas, on this day? فلا لعنة الله للقوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إلهي إنا نسألك بحق الحسين وجده وبي وأمه وأخيه وتسعة المعصومين من ذريته وبنيه. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم عجل فرج إمامنا المنتظر واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة.